All right, guys. So these videos, I'm trying to make them short to the point. I got myself on a little stopwatch, and I'm trying to keep them under 20 minutes at all cost. So this video is going to be basically the layout, the user interface of the screen, and where to go to find what you need and how to get it set up. It's not going to be very detailed. I'm trying to just give you enough working information to get you started and get you into being able to use your machine. So let's drop down to the Lightburn and let's get the show on the road. All right. So now that we've got our machine connected, I'm going to be running the A70 Pro, and we're sitting here in Lightburn. So the basic fundamentals of the software, guys, you've got all these little icons up here on the toolbar. Now, instead of going over what every single one of them do, if you'll just hover over them, they'll tell you. You see the little tab that pops up? So that's for a new file. Just all you gotta do is hover over it, wait for a few seconds. That opens a file. All right, hover over it. That saves a file. Anywhere on this program, you can hover over the control buttons, and it will tell you basic information about it. Such as right here, when you hover over that, it tells you to create a triangle. There's also shortcuts that you can use, such as Control, the window key, and R. You can hold Shift when you do it to make sure that it's square. There's a bunch of little tricks and just things that you may want to brush up on, but the basics are all we're concentrating on today. It's just to get you making shapes and get you moving stuff. So same thing, create an ellipse. All this information, when you hover over these icons, it gives you a little more information about it. Adding tabs. You don't need to be studying that right now. If you're just getting your machine, that's probably not something you're going to be worried about unless you're making projects to ship or something like that. Then you may. Text tool. This is pretty cool. This is basically a navigation for the machine. So if I take and click that little navigation button, watch the screen over here because you can see my machine move. If I drop this little pin, basically like dropping a pin on your phone, it's like a map. It tells the machine, go here. So if you're needing to take the machine over the material to, like with this machine, set the autofocus or something like that, this is a pretty cool, easy way of doing that, is using this the little map drop button right there, where you just drop a location, drop a little pin on the map. Okay, you've got the measurement tool, which we don't have anything in here to measure. All these different things. The biggest thing you're going to want to pay attention to here is on this where it says window. There's a couple different ways that you can do things when you get your Lightburn set up. You can go right here. You can go to under the window tab. You can go to wireframe coarse, and that's just going to make a wireframe really coarse, just kind of like what it says. Or you can go wireframe smooth. Now, keep in mind, if you do it that way, that's cool, but the difference is it's not going to be filled. So when you're trying to get a feel for what your design looks like, you're going to have to keep in mind that everything's aligned, even though some of it's technically filled. Preferably, myself, I like having my fills filled and my lines, kind of like this. So if I take that one, I know that my blue is aligned. So now I know that this is a line, a score, whatever you want to call it, and this is a fill. So that's the way I like mine. If you change this over to wireframe coarse, they both kind of look the same. So you don't know which one's supposed to be filled or not. To me, I don't prefer that one. I think fill smooth is where I land, and that's where I'm going to stay. So any of the tools, like if any of this stuff is missing from your installation of Lightburn, there are going to be some slight differences on some computers based on your computer monitor's resolution. If your machine's like a really wide screen or a really narrow screen, it is going to reconfigure where the boxes are and where they dock and all that. So that's going to be possibly different on your machine based on the monitor that you have. I'm running a Spectre, fairly modern monitor, and so most of you guys should look like mine unless you're on a laptop. So down through here, you've got the art library. The art library is what you saw over here. That thing's really handy because you can save graphics and shapes and stuff like that in there. If you're working on a particular project, you can open up one of these and put all the parts to that project in a art library, and it's a little quicker to access than having to open files and save files and stuff like that. It's also really easy to transport, like a lot of different things. You can just send these art libraries over to your other machine or whatever, and it just makes things a little easier to maneuver and move around. We're going to have a video covering using the art library, but that's a deep little subject, and we ain't got time today because I'm already 5 minutes in on this video. So the arrange, this is going to be those little icons right here. You can remove those if you don't want to use them. Preferably, I like having them up there, and this is the abbreviated version. You can turn the arrange off and turn the arrange long on. It gives you a lot more functions, which really is half a dozen of one, 6 of the other, in my opinion, because the basic things that you need are going to be in the short one. The one thing that you don't want to do is have both of them up there because that just looks hectic. So this will get you by. The only difference is you have to kind of drop down a little more on some of these and select different options. All right, so all of this stuff, the console, cuts and layers, color palette, that's the color palette down here at the bottom. You're going to want to have that shown because that's pretty handy once you get to learning how to do things. Docking, you're going to want that turned on. Of course, the laser, that's where you move, all your move buttons and everything are over here. Material library, I like material library. That's going to be another video that we're going to get into. You do want to have that available and use it. Modes, the move tab, of course. So all of these little tools you can remove or add over here. And, if you don't want them over there, you can remove them. Me personally, I've got mine set up the way I like it, and it's pretty much everything that I can put on the screen. So what do all these things do? Like I said, don't forget, hover over a button. If you hover over any one of these buttons, it's going to tell you. So you can literally just sit there and play with these buttons and figure out what they do. I really don't feel it's necessary to go through here and just do a deep dive on every single button. The big ones that you're going to want to know are like if you're trying to align these guys right here, the easy way to do that is this little bullseye right here. It'll actually put them all inside each other. 2 things to remember. If you click and drag right, it's only going to select the things that are inside the box. If you click and drag left and up, anything it touches is going to select. So if you're trying to only select this middle part right here, and you start from the right and go left, even though you're crossing that bigger square, it's not going to select it because you didn't completely encompass it. But if you start down here and just do a little short one, if it touches, it gets selected. And so you can move things around. Also, if you're trying to select multiple things, you got to hold Control and click them to do that, or you can drag just like I showed you just now. Control click works pretty well. Also, if you're trying to use the boolean functions right here, I'm going to duplicate these things just for a second to show you. But if you're trying to, you right click and duplicate, you can just make copies. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this in just a second. But you can copy these things and move them around. I'm going to do the same thing here. Make me a few copies of this one because I want to demonstrate the booleans for you. All right, so these are your little shape, basically modifiers over here. So if I had this shape right here, and I hold Control, and I click this shape right here, whichever one that you click first is the one that's going to be manipulated. However this shows. So like the way I clicked the black one and then the blue one. So if I click this one, it's just going to add the two together. If I wanted the blue one to take a little chunk out of the corner of the black one, I could click this button here, and that's what's going to happen. So same note, if I click this one first, hold Control, click me another one of my little tool squares right here. If I decided, you know what, I want to cut both of these and just leave the material in the middle in this little square right here, then I would hit this button right here. All right, so that's what these booleans, they're really handy for that. Hold Control and then click the second one. You just got to remember that part. So if I took these two and I'm like, okay, now I want to take this big one right here, but I want to add it to the one in the middle. Okay, now I can go right here. I can do this one of several ways, actually. I can do weld all selected, or since there's only 2 of them, I can do the A and B. And so you click that, and it welds those 2s together. All right, so then we go down to this shape, select that one, hold Control, click another one of my little tool lines right here. Same thing. We can go, hey, let's go ahead and add those together. And so now I'm going to add all those shapes together. So that's how that does. You can manipulate shapes with those. You also have this neat little pair of scissors right here, so that if you wanted to come in here and clean some of this up and you wanted to modify it a different way, you can actually take these little scissors and cut lines out of a design. Those are pretty handy. I think they borrowed those from Vectric. They're in Vectric software, and they're a really handy little tool because you can take a shape, and if you have like 3 or 4 shapes added together, just like we had just now, and let's say we were trying to make this a heart. I know this looks nothing like a heart, but if we were trying to make this look like a heart, you could actually just come in here, cut this line out, and cut this line out, and that would, kind of make it look in the shape of a heart. So there's a lot of different uses for that tool. Node editing, that's a whole video, all right? You get into node editing, there's a lot to that. It's pretty easy, but it can be a little slippery slope if you're brand new. And assuming you're watching this video, you're probably brand new. So we'll save that for another day. Over here, these buttons, this is your camera buttons. Of course, before you can use the camera in Lightburn, you're going to have to calibrate. You can do that 2 ways. You can right-click here and then calibrate camera lens and then calibrate camera alignment. Or you can go over here under laser tools and calibrate camera lens and calibrate camera alignment. Either way you want to do that. That also is enough for a short video as well, so we're not going to cover that. That'll be in a different video. But cuts and layers are here. Anytime you put a shape inside the work area, it is going to assign it a layer. The layers can be kind of associated with these little palette down here at the bottom. So if I click on a shape, I can just click one of these palettes down here on the part of the palette and assign it some preset settings. So you could actually, like if I set that one, and let's say I copied that one over and put it down here, but I didn't want it to be the same settings. But if I change it here, it's going to change both of them because they're on the same layer. So what I can do is I can select that one, click on a different layer, and now I can change those settings and it won't affect the black one. So on the same note, if I click the black one and I click over here on the blue palette, now if I change the settings for the blue, it's going to change both of them. So you have all these different palettes that you can work with and layers that you can create, and layers upon layers upon layers. You can use that to do different shading, make shapes, do all kinds of cool stuff, and you can have a crazy number of layers over here on the side. So more than you'll ever need. All right, so moving on down. The move button, all right? When you home your machine or when you frame your machine, the speed that it uses, I get this question a lot. If you will hover over the buttons, just like we said earlier, it says home X, Y, right? If you will hover over these buttons right here, it will tell you when you hit frame right there, trace, cut, boundary, whatever, speed is taken from move panel setting. So people always ask, well, how do you make it frame faster? This is up here at the move panel. So you go to the move panel. This is your speeds. So if you hit this little arrow buttons, this is the distance that they're going to move. This is how fast they're going to move. And this is your Z speed if you have a powered Z. If you don't have a powered Z, that'll probably be blacked out and you won't have that function there. But this will allow you to manipulate the machine. You can move the machine over, up, whatever you need to do. With my machine, I can go down or I can go up. That's your move tab. Home takes it back to the home location. So one cool thing up here is I like to create what is called a park location on all my machines, and it's in the back left corner back there. And like this machine is going to be 0 and 395. And so what that does is that enables me, if that machine is, and we'll show you how it works. If that machine's in the front right there and I'm trying to load material, it's kind of in my way. Well, if I select this park location and tell it to go there, the machine's going to move to the back, all the way in the back left corner, and it's no longer in my way. And so by doing that, that gives me a little more room to work, less chance of bumping something and causing an issue with one of my cuts that I have. So you can just go in here on manage and add a new one and put the information in there for that back left corner, hit save, and then name it as park, and that fixes that up. While we're on that, one of the other things that if you missed it in my first video that you're going to want to do also is going to be go in here and set a return to finished location. And this is a location that when you have a job sent to the machine and it finishes, it's going to send that machine head out to that location and park it there, which coincidentally, I use the same location as my park, so that the machine is out of the way when I'm unloading and loading materials. You're also going to want to make sure you enable the laser fire button and laser on when framing. Set your percentage. I usually use, depending on the machine, anywhere from 0.5 to 2% for some of the smaller machines. This is a 70 watt, so it's like 0.5% output is very visible. So, but in here even, guys, like I said, you can hover over stuff and it'll explain more details to you. So don't forget about that. So we're not going to get into the origin, clear origin, and all that. Those you really don't need if you're running absolute coordinates, which I strongly recommend you do. If you have a machine that has limit switches, there really is no other way of running it other than occasionally you may have to swap it over to current position. We're going to do a video on current position because that's a rabbit hole itself. But as long as you have limit switches and you home the machine, absolute coordinates will work every time and will keep you from slamming into the walls of the machine. So the console right here. Console basically is where the machine communicates with Lightburn. This, if you don't want to see it, you don't have to. This will just, like, I can put a little question mark in there and ask the machine basically, hey, what's your status? And it'll just tell you, oh, I'm idle, and it's going to give you all this stuff. If I wanted to find out information about the machine, like, you can put double dollar signs in there, and it'll give you all the settings from the controller. You can actually make changes to the controller by putting values in there, but that is not something you need to be doing unless you've backed up your controller settings. So we're not going to go down that rabbit hole either. And then this variable text, this is an entire video on its own, and there's no way we're even touching this in this video. So, material libraries, real quick. These different machines have different material libraries. I plan to use this machine here because I've never really created one for this machine. And I'm going to do a material library creation for this machine and kind of add it to the collection. That's going to probably be one of my next videos that I'm going to try to work on. But material libraries are really handy. You can load them and unload them. You can literally download these things and share them. If your favorite YouTuber has one that they share with you, you can download theirs and install it. And it's really cool. It saves you some testing, gives you good jump off points for materials. But you still need to test the settings just to be sure. So same thing with the art library over here. You can actually load and unload art libraries, so you can share those things, move them around, get them off your computer, put them back on the computer. It's really simple, but like I said, there's enough there for a whole video in itself. So if you don't have a camera, guys, cameras aren't required, but they are really, really handy. So, but like I said, we'll cover setting that up and configuring that in its own dedicated video. Whew! It's hard for me to keep these things less than 20 minutes, guys. Try to avoid stumbling off in any deep holes. I apologize if I'm leaving some of you kind of high and dry because you want more details. But there is going to be some homework involved in these videos. That's the whole purpose, is for these to be short, quick lessons that you guys can kind of go through and get your feet under you and get going from there. Hopefully I'll be able to break out each little section that we didn't go over into its own video and go from there. So if you hadn't already, make sure you subscribe to the playlist and hit those notifications so that you know when the next one hits the internet. And so 2013 before editing. So got it. See you guys.